Welcome to a brand new series of Getting Into TV. This is a series that I hope makes working in TV that bit more accessible. Like before, I will be talking to various people at various stages of their career in both scripted and unscripted productions. And this week, I'm joined by Pete Levy, who was one of the producers on what I think was an amazing series of Doctor Who, and Doctor Who Flux, and is now producing on Casualty. Thank you, Pete, for joining me.
Pleasure.
I suppose, first off, I should ask you, what is a producer and what do you do as your job? Yeah,
that question's been asked a number of times, Tom. And there are a number of comedy responses. I think in principle, the producer's job is to take the writer's story and work with production and just make sure that that story is told on the screen. And it depends on from production to production what their setup is and what different roles you have. But for me, it's been working with the writers from the start of the storyline. So you get the story outline, and then you get scene by scene breakdowns, and then you get first draft script. And it's just working through that. It's working with the writers to look at what's possible to shoot. You know, you then start to look at, certainly on a show like Who, what are VFX. You then work with all the heads of department with regards to costumes, art department, casting. It's my responsibility to make sure that everything that goes to screen is relevant to that story. And then it's a continuing feedback, really, and also working with, talking to Ed Paul with regards to making sure that what we put on screen is right and is fitting for that time slot as well. There are certain things that you can and can't do, and it's making sure that everything stays within those parameters.
I started out wanting to work in drama, and I remember when I was in uni, it was always the producer role that I was always drawn to. I just found it really fascinating, because I don't know about you, but it always feels like one of them roles that people know about, but it's never really, you know of it, but you don't know what they do.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think you're absolutely right there, Tom. I think we all know what a director does because we see them do it. We all know what a camera operator does because we see them do it. I think with the producer role, it's like a conductor to a degree. It's making sure that all the heads of department, including the crew and the director, know what the story is. They know what the characters' journeys have been. So it's an opportunity, the producer's opportunity, really, once all those are in place, to guide them and to make sure that the end product is what we all envisaged when we started story outlines and when we started reading.
Can I just say as well, I don't know if you can hear any banging at all. My neighbours have all of a sudden, I think, decided to do building work.
I can't hear it, Tom.
If you can hear anything, that's what it is. What was your journey like to become a producer?
You can tell this, Tom. I'm very old. So my journey is slightly unusual, I think, to most. But I'm from a background where university and college for any form of further education wasn't really an option. It was, you leave school, you go to work. So I ended up joining the army.
Really?
Yeah, for 6 years, and then once I left, I got a job in facilities management at what was then TVAM, breakfast television. I knew that, I felt as if a creative career was the one that I genuinely wanted to follow. I spent all my free time in the graphics department learning how to use the kit, was eventually spotted, as it were, being that an annoying oik that was always in the graphics department, got sent away to Middlesex Uni to use the kit properly, joined the department, ended up as head of department, and so that's where it started. Spent a huge amount of my time producing corporates, for the likes of Chrysler and Alfa Romeo and Coke, and then as VFX and animation emerged, working with BBC Natural History Unit on some of the big flagship shows, on elements for that, and then just decided that I would like to apply that to drama. And yeah, so was a VFX producer for a number of years, and then took the step to produce, have a more hands-on creative role. I was VFX producer on Series 11 and Series 12 for Doctor Who, so I knew the team, I knew the story, I was a fan of the show. They offered me an opportunity to produce on that, and obviously, like any one of us would, I grabbed it with both hands, and yeah, that's it.
I hope this doesn't offend, but I think it's just because one thing I always worry about is, especially when I went to uni, it seemed to be a young person's game. They were always very much saying that if you don't get a job straight out of uni, then you're not going to break into the industry. But I think by you saying that you went to, you joined the army and then you didn't join the industry until later, age shouldn't put someone off, if you know what I mean. Like, I think it's really important for people to know that age doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would say that's something that I've noticed as well. And I would really stress age is no barrier. And if you don't know what you want to do at 22, 23, 24, don't stress about it. Genuinely don't stress about it, because you've got a whole run ahead of you. Take it bit by bit, because if you rush, if you feel that you've got that pressure, you may jump into a role that you're not happy with. You might scupper any immediate future opportunities. So just sit back and go, and every opportunity, take one pace back, take a look at it and go, is this right for me? What are the pros? What are the cons? Not try and always plot a career path, because, I mean, as I found, try everything. There are going to be some things you go, actually, I'm quite good at this, or actually, I really enjoy this, or, the reverse. I don't like this. I always thought I wanted to be an animator, but now I've tried it, I realize I don't. So I'm going to step back. But I think that when you're applying for roles, if your potential employer can see that you've tried, and I see you worked on that show, or you worked on that show, you've got more of an insight and a broader insight into what goes on. So never ever stress, because age isn't a barrier. Running
is pretty much the entry role into TV. I've done my fair share of running on scripted and unscripted shows. What would you expect from someone starting out as a runner?
First of all, I did think of this earlier on. Well, in fact, yesterday when we were on set. Every single member of that team is being paid because they're doing an important job. It could be your lead actor in front of the camera. It could be your runner, someone in the production office. You take that person out, and there's a gap, and there's jobs that people need to do. And a runner is as important as everyone else. So I think it's realizing and understanding that it's not. I mean, I've seen runners, and they sort of approach that role as, I'm just a coffee person, I've just got to go and make everyone see. No, you are just as important as everybody else. I think what I would like to see, what I appreciate seeing, is that sense of inclusion. Now, I belong here. And do you know what? I'm going to do it with a smile on my face, and I'm going to make sure I know everyone's name, and I'm going to make sure that I've watched the show that I'm working on, and I'm going to use this opportunity to talk to people. Like we're doing now. How do I get into the industry? Who do I need to speak to? Because whenever you apply for a job, particularly runners, there are 100 or more people that are just as capable of doing that job. And I've interviewed them, and they, and actually more often than not, there's 100 or more people that are better qualified than you to do that job. So what's going to set you apart? It's that ability to engage. I still do it now. It doesn't make me special, because I see loads of people do it. If I see someone struggling with some chairs on the set, I'll go over and help them. If I see someone having a bad morning, can I get you a cup of coffee? Okay. And I think from a runner, you are the glue that can help hold that production together. You're the person that's always got a smile on your face. That's always offer it, you know, anything I can do for you. And it's that proactivity that's more important than anything else. And I've been on sets and on location whereby the lead actor will have as good a relationship with the runner than they will the director, because that's the person they identify with, and that's the person they see the most of.
I really enjoy. I've only just stepped up to a research. I was a runner for 3 years, and I'd happily run again. I think it's one of the best roles in TV.
Yeah.
Because it's long hours. Yes, you have to make coffee, but it like you said, it's not just making coffee. There's so much more to it. And one of my favorite aspects of being a runner is you get to meet every department.
Yeah.
You're even though you're in the AD department, you get to mix, you get to see everything, you get to see everything that's going on. And I think that's a really good place to be starting out. I mean, we kind of touched upon it in that question. I was going to ask you, what advice do you have to people starting out? And I suppose we could make it broader. So not just runners, people, I suppose, wanting to get into costume, or people just about to go to uni, or those wanting to those that feel like they want to join TV, but uni's not for them. What advice would you give to someone?
I don't, well, obviously I'm biased, but I would say you don't need to go to university. I would say university's brilliant for loads of other things. It's, you know, it is that cliche, isn't it? It's uni experience, it's learning life skills, it's making friends. And, you know, Tom, you would know that.
I was brought up in Stafford in the Midlands for 18 years of my life, and I just wanted an excuse to get away.
Yeah.
I always knew TV was where I wanted to be, but I didn't know how to get there. So for me, uni wasn't so much giving me the experience for TV, it was the excuse to get me out of Stafford and then start looking. But yeah, no, totally agree. Even though I went to uni, I don't know whether I would do it again. I think maybe a vocational thing would have been better for me, a traineeship.
Yeah, I've looked at both options, and I think that they're both they've both got pros and cons. I think from a life perspective point of view, I mean, I had 6 years in the forces, and I travelled around, and I made good mates, and I learnt new skills. So that's my equivalent to uni. And I think nowadays organisations are really keen to grab hold of new talent as quickly as they can. So you've got organizations like the Next Gen Skills Academy looking at getting new talent into games, TV, across the board. And I think certainly when I was with DNA, one of the biggest visual effects companies in the world, they've collaborated, with Framestore, with MPC, with some of the other big VFX companies as an example, to go to colleges, to go to university, and to try and offer training schemes that give you another heads up. So I would say, if you want to go to university for the reasons that you've just given, go, love it, enjoy it, and do as much as you can. There are opportunities to change career subjects, at an earlier stage if you don't feel that you're on the right path. But I've worked with people who've been to university, and studied theology, or they studied, geography, nothing to do with this business. So I wouldn't, like I said before, I certainly wouldn't stress if you don't know, or you don't think you're preparing yourself. If television or film or digital output is your passion, then you've already got a head start. I mean, there was an occasion when I was working in breakfast television. So we started at 3 a.m. We went on air at 6 a.m. We finished at 9 a.m. One morning I had an hour's break before I started interviewing for new operatives into the department. And my first question was, what did you think of our show this morning? And the guy's response was, I'm really sorry, I didn't see it. I don't normally get up before 9 o'clock. Okay, well, you're applying for a job on breakfast television that starts at 3 a.m. You've already put a big cross through your name. So I think it is, when we're on set, if we're waiting for a camera change or whatever, we're all talking about what we're watching in TV, what we're watching at the movies, who our directors are, who our favorite actors are, and all this stuff. So it is a passion. And I think you have to have that passion, I think, to tell stories And I think if you've got that, that's a big start wherever you want to go in the business.
No, definitely. I mean, I don't think I've ever met anyone that I've worked with anyway that isn't in love with what, like within the with the industry, or at least with watching it anyway. Everyone loves to watch TV in this industry. So yeah. I totally agree with that advice. My last question really is, what are the pros and cons of this industry?
Pros, you're right, getting to do a job that thousands and thousands of people would give their last penny to do, because working on a show like Doctor Who, I mean, good grief, it's iconic. Oh, here we go. Is that your neighbours, Tom?
Yeah. There you go. Sorry about
that. So I think one of the big pros of this business is you're doing a job that millions of people would love to do. You're working on locations with actors that come into their living room on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. So, and I think we must never lose sight of how exciting that is. That's a big pro. You can progress regardless. I mean, I think we've got a lot more work to do, but from my experience, there's a big drive with regards to tackling diversity and focusing just on talent. And I think that's a big one of the big pros, that it's a continuing, long way to go, but a continuing drive. I also think that we do get paid quite well, as you know, so there's no getting away from it. There is a sense of, and this is genuine, being in the forces a million years ago, there was always a sense of, your mates have got your back, and that you're a part of an important group. Driving into a remote location a couple of weeks ago, I felt exactly the same. And being on set, we're all in it together, regardless. And so there is that sense of teamwork and camaraderie. Cons, do you know what, Tom? I actually can't think of any, because even after spending a week, with a couple of days standing in the middle of a field in Wales, freezing cold, we do work long hours, but it's relative. And we're not digging holes in the road. We're not working in real casualty departments. We're not doing any of those things that I consider proper manual labor. I think we're blessed to be doing a job that it's relative. Yeah, I've had a tough week and I've been on my feet the whole time, and I've had to be chirpy the whole time. But you know what? I've done it with my mates. So it's not, I can't go down to the guy that's stacking shelves in our Tesco's across the road and tell him what a rubbish week I've had, because frankly and rightly, he will laugh at me. So I don't think there are no cons.
I mean, that I kind of agree with you. I mean, yeah, the hours are long, but I mean, on what I'm working on Crime Watch, when I first started as a runner on it, we were doing really long days and then having to travel around the country. But we were doing that, and it was hard. It was really hard, like emotionally and physically, going to these places, because we'd all have to drive in single cars because of COVID. But the pro of that was, whilst everyone was locked down, we were allowed to travel around the country. This is the thing, is there, even the cons have their pros, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree with you. And also I think another significant pro is you can go from being a runner, you can go, okay, but this is the route I want to take. Mm-hmm. I want to stay on the floor. I want to get, I quite like I'm in a position whereby I can talk to the costume department. I can see what they're doing. I can try and work out whether that's the route I want to go, or whether I want to go into the production route, or whether I want to go into the storytelling and into the script. So I think we are in an environment whereby I've seen people make some strange moves, but it's been right for them. So it's not, okay, you're on a treadmill, you've got to follow that linear path. I think this industry means that you can diversify wherever that takes you.
That's a really interesting point. All through uni, I felt as if I was not so much pigeonholed, but they kind of, From my experience, it's always been, you need to know what you want to do and then stick with it. But I feel like I've kind of not gone that direction myself. I mean, I started out running in drama, and then I started moving to factual, and I'm now researching on Crime Watch. But there's part of me that really likes the idea and would love to be able to work in the production office of drama. I think that's, if I ever went back to drama, I think that's where I'd want to be.
Yeah.
But I think that's a really important thing to take away from this video, if anyone's, whoever's watching this, is you're not stuck. It's very fluid, this industry, very fluid.
Yeah. And also I would say that we are a welcoming industry as well. I mean, I would say that, you know, use social media, you know, use all forms of social media. LinkedIn is my favorite for work. And those of us that are fortunate enough to be in these positions, I know we do share opportunities that help, because, you know, we've all got kids, you know, a lot of us have got kids that are in the same, on the same path to try and find where they want to go for work. So share those things, and just keep an eye on who's doing what and when and where, and just look, because we are really open to helping people. I know lots and lots of colleagues that are very similar in their views.
No, definitely. Thank you so much for talking to me.
Pleasure.
Today. I really think we've managed, I hope we've managed to help people that are watching this. Is there anything else that you think that we've not touched on that you just want to get out there?
Yeah, enjoy it. I mean, absolutely, whatever you're doing, enjoy it, because it's an absolute pleasure. You know, you listen to stories about people saying, Doctor Who changed my life. It really, made me realize that I could be different but be acceptable. Or you've got, people watching Casualty. Enjoy it, whatever it is. It's great fun, so enjoy it and make as many connections as you can. Tom, what you're doing with this video and this program is brilliant, because I think we need to give more information and more opportunities. So power to you for that. Well done. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
No, thank you for that. Sorry, words have just gone from my mouth now. No, thank you, Pete, for talking to me today. If you want to see any of my other videos, then please go to either of these corners. There will be a playlist up there. But I will be back in about 2 weeks' time, and I'll be talking to Harry Cole, who is fresh out of uni and is currently running on Welsh drama Publicum. So I'll be talking to him about what it's like. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day doing whatever you're doing.